Grace sat by the cracked window, the early morning light filtering weakly through the dusty glass. Her hands rested protectively over the small, fragile life growing inside her. She had never imagined her pregnancy would bring anything but hope, yet here she was, trapped in a nightmare of cruelty and despair. Please, in case today is your first time of coming across our video, kindly subscribe to our channel, like, comment and share this video. Jack, a homeless and unkempt man, came to see Grace at her compound because he loved her and had decided to make a move. "Please, ma'am, I'm here to see Grace," Jack asked. "Why are you looking for Grace, and what is your business with her?" Victoria replied, questioning him. "I'm sorry, she is my friend, and I just want to see her. Although we have not seen each other before, I like her." Well, Jack replied. This one likes Grace. "Anyway, I will make sure she goes with him and suffers," Victoria thought to herself. "She is your friend and you have not seen her before, like talk with her, so how is she your friend? Anyway, let me go get her now. Maybe she is inside, or let me go to the neighborhood and call. I like intentional men like you," Victoria said, then rushed outside to a nearby pharmacy where she got some drugs. Grace was seen reading when Victoria decided to call her in order to greet and talk with her guest. "Meet your guest and husband-to-be," Victoria said, pointing at Jack. Grace was confused and speechless with what she heard but decided to play along to avoid getting beaten by her stepmom for disrespect. Victoria directed both of them to a place where they could stay and talk safely without disturbance. "Let me get you guys something to eat," Victoria offered. "No, don't bother about food, I'm good," Jack said. No. You can't come to your in-laws' house and not eat anything." "Oh, you're not even serious, as you have started by rejecting our food," Victoria said. "Okay, that's not an issue," Jack replied, and Victoria took them to a room where she served them food. She stayed for a moment and then left them, while Jack and Grace do their thing. One day, Grace's stepmother, Victoria, stood across the room, her expression cold and unyielding. Her voice was sharp, slicing through the silence like a knife. "Tomorrow, you will marry him," Victoria declared, her tone void of sympathy. "That homeless man with no comfortable shelter. No one wants him, and now, no one will want you once you're married to him." Grace swallowed hard, fear twisting in her chest. She thought of Jack, an unfamiliar name, a face she barely remembered. A man with worn clothes, a weathered face, and eyes that seemed to carry 1,000 untold stories. He was a stranger from the streets, the very opposite of what Grace had dreamed of for her husband and the father of her unborn child to be. But, why? Grace's voice barely rose above a whisper. "Why would you do this to me?" Victoria's laugh was cold and bitter. "Because you've made this family miserable enough. You can't be pregnant for him and not marry him. You're weak, just a single day meeting you got pregnant for a man, and now it's time you face the consequences. This marriage will break you." Grace wanted to scream, to run, to beg for mercy, but the chains of fear and helplessness held her fast. She was alone, with no one to turn to, no one to save her. The next day dawned bleak and grey. The village church was a small, humble building, its wooden doors creaking as guests filed in, not friends or family, but curious onlookers drawn by the scandal. The pews were mostly empty, and the air hung heavy with whispers and judgment. Then Jack appeared. He stepped through the doorway with quiet confidence, his clothes worn and stained, but his posture steady. His dark eyes met Grace's for a brief moment, eyes full of mystery, pain, and something else she couldn't yet name. As the ceremony began, Grace's mind swirled with questions and doubts. How could her life have taken such a cruel turn? How could she be forced to marry a man she barely knew, all because of Victoria's hatred and a pregnancy she never knew when it entered? Yet beneath the fear, a small seed of curiosity took root. Jack's calm demeanor, the way he held himself with dignity despite his rugged appearance, it hinted at a story far deeper than she could imagine. When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, Grace felt a strange mix of dread and cautious hope. The road ahead would be difficult, but maybe, just maybe, Jack was more than the homeless man Victoria described him to be in order to break her. As the crowd dispersed, Grace looked at her new husband once more. For the first time since Victoria's cruel decision, she allowed herself a flicker of something almost like trust. The battle for her future was just beginning. They went home and celebrate with their neighborhood, few persons that showed up to support them. The days following the wedding felt like a blur to Grace. She moved through the small, run-down cottage Jack called home, her nerves constantly on edge. The weight of the pregnancy, the forced marriage, and the unknown future pressed heavily on her heart. Jack was quiet, but not unkind. His actions often contradicted the rough, homeless image Victoria had painted. He kept the place surprisingly clean, cooked simple but nourishing meals, and always made sure Grace was comfortable. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the hills, Grace noticed a neatly wrapped package sitting on the doorstep. She hesitated before picking it up, curious and cautious. Inside was a small basket of fresh fruit, a delicate scarf, and a note that read, "For your strength, sweetheart." Grace's heart fluttered with confusion. Who would leave such a gift? She looked around but saw no one as Jack, her husband, a wheelbarrow pusher, is out to work for the day, and thought of who could drop such, and after contemplating on what to do, she decided to let it be there to avoid eating something dropped by an enemy. The next day, while Jack was out gathering firewood, Grace spotted a man standing across the street, watching their cottage. The man's sharp eyes and expensive clothes clashed starkly with the humble surroundings. When Grace caught his gaze, he quickly looked away and disappeared down the road. Fear prickled at her skin. Who were these strangers, and why were they watching them? Grace asked herself. Jack returned that evening, sensing her unease. "You've been looking worried since I returned from work. What is it?" he said softly, his voice low but steady, and continued. "Do anyone came to check on me or people looking at our house?" Jack said in thought about his people that may at times want to check up on. Grace looked at him, bewildered. "What do you mean? I have seen people countless times standing by the roadside looking at us." "Who are they?" Jack hesitated but offered no answers. Instead, he reached out and gently took her hand. And whispered, "Maybe there are passerby or people that know you and decided to stop by but don't know how to come close to you." But though Grace doesn't look convinced because she already knew none of the people she have seen know her. Despite the growing tension, Grace found herself drawn to Jack's quiet strength. Beneath his rough exterior was a man with secrets, and a protector who might just be the unexpected ally she needed. But as the shadows lengthened outside their window, Grace knew that their peaceful moments were numbered. The past was closing in, and Victoria's cruelty was only the beginning. Victoria watched from the cracked window of her lavish home, a cruel smile tugging at her lips as she imagined Grace struggling in her new life. To her, the forced marriage was a punishment to Grace and her dead mother to prove superiority, a way to break Grace's spirit once and for all. She didn't know Jack's true identity. To Victoria, he was nothing more than a homeless nobody, a perfect match to disgrace Grace. She reveled in the thought of Grace living in poverty, far from the comforts she once took for granted. Day after day, Victoria sent cold, biting messages through a village servant town crier, reminding Grace of her fall from grace. Rumors spread that Grace was married to a vagrant wheelbarrow pusher, and the gossip stung more than any harsh word. But inside the cottage, something different was happening. Jack's kindness and quiet strength were slowly softening Grace's pain. He protected her from the cold nights and shielded her from Victoria's relentless spite. One afternoon, Victoria stormed into the village market, her eyes scanning the crowd until she caught sight of Grace. The pregnant woman moved carefully, but her head was held high, her face calmer than Victoria expected. "How long do you plan to hide behind that man?" Victoria sneered, stepping closer. "You'll never escape your fate, Grace." Jack stepped forward from behind where he was just done dropping someone's goods with his wheelbarrow, his voice steady and calm. "Leave her alone." Victoria sneered, eyeing Jack's rough clothes. And who are you to tell me what to do? A homeless beggar. Jack's eyes darkened, but he said nothing. Instead, he moved between Victoria and Grace like a shield. Victoria spat on the ground and stormed away, but the message was clear: she wouldn't stop until Grace was broken. That night, Grace and Jack sat by the fire, the weight of Victoria's cruelty hanging heavy in the room. Why does she hate me so much? Grace whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. Jack reached for her hand. Sometimes people hurt others because they're hurting inside. But we'll get through this together. Grace looked at Jack, beginning to see beyond his rough exterior. Whatever is past, he was her protector now, and maybe, just maybe, her future. The quiet tension that had settled over Grace and Jack's life was shattered one stormy night. Thunder roared in the distance as Jack paced the worn wooden floor of their cottage, his face shadowed by worry. Grace, he said finally, stopping to look at her with steady eyes. There's something you need to know. Grace's heart pounded. She had felt the weight of his silence for days, the mystery behind his kindness, the strange visitors, the gift. Now, she was confused about who she was living with but decided to ask him, why are people gifting them? It's because good people never suffers. Believe me, bad says will soon pass, Jack replied. Grace was speechless on what to say again, but everything seems confused. The next day Grace received a call that broke and shattered her heart. Your husband is being beaten at the market now for stealing a customer's goods. A woman came to their compound and called her to rush to the market now before they take the husband to police station or burn to death. Grace rushed to the market crying and shedding tears. Please oh don't kill him, it's better you people first kill me, please. What did he do? Grace cried out. I see you're the wife that's enjoying the stolen items with him, one of the men standing there said. My husband is not a thief and have never stolen before, Grace replied. Don't worry, when police come, I believe you will have strength to say this, another man said. After several torture on Jack, a stranger came out from his car and paid for what he was said to have stolen and also settled the market union leader. The following week Jack was seen by her wife sitting at the corner of their house and the wife decided to approach him. Jack, why are you doing like this? Your behavior breaks me down. There is more to life and I know this phase will pass. Do you want the enemies to mock us? Grace asked. Nobody is going to mock us. I have a confession to make, Jack said and continued. I'm the heir to $1 billion fortune, Jack confessed. I left it all behind to escape enemies, people who want to destroy everything I have. Living as I do now was the only way to stay safe. Grace's mind raced. The man she had feared and pitied was actually a billionaire in hiding. But why let Victoria force this marriage? She asked, tears in her eyes. Jack took her hands in his. You won't understand. Although I have figured out what happened the day I came to see you, I have also watched you from afar and loved you. Victoria's hatred runs deep, and I knew she tried to hurt you, although this was not the way I planned it, but I knew that, by marrying you, I could keep you close, safe, and away from those who would do us harm. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Jack's expression hardened. Who is that? Grace's breath caught as two persons. A man and a woman who happens to be Jack's parents stepped inside, and it was just like Grace have completed and passed her test phase. You need to marry her now. I believe she is the right choice for you, the mother said. There is nothing much to wait for again and you need to resume work again. You're needed in the office, the father added. No problem, Mom, thank you for supporting me in this journey. We will start our wedding preparation as soon as possible, but Dad, I'm not returning to work now because our honeymoon will follow after our wedding, Jack replied. Victoria, it turned out, had unwittingly pushed Grace into a marriage that would save her. Jack's secret identity was now public, and with it came power, protection, and a chance to fight back. Together, Grace and Jack moved to their new home and planned their wedding that shook the whole town, and it got people talking because men of calibers and leaders from different industries graced the wedding. Victoria was at the event as parent of the bride, looking happy, but her heart was shattered and in shame. She earlier prepared to poison food she would give to Grace and her husband, but was bounced back from accessing the main house where they kept foods.